Welcome to Leaders and Learners. My name is Tanya McKenzie, and you can find me at the intersection of public relations and leadership. Join us as we talk to organizational leaders, elected officials, experts, authors, artists, and personalities, sharing their stories, talking about how they got to where they are and how they continue to learn and lead the way. So without further ado, let's get into it. Hey guys, welcome to another edition of Leaders and Learners, where we all know the best leaders are lifetime learners. Today I have an amazing leader for you. It's a big deal to bring him here because he's a big deal. Why is that? Someone that has shown incredible resilience, not allowed for where he comes from to define who he is or how he raises his children, which I think is incredibly admirable. It's not by societal norms. He's kind of creating his own norms, what's normal for him, what works for him and his family, and the goals that he has set for himself. You know, I asked a question in the captions in regards to leadership and what's going on in corporate America. So we're definitely going to get into that. If you haven't had a chance, go ahead and look in the captions of this pod and see some of the things that he has done. He has an incredible book that we're going to talk about a little bit today. And I don't want to hold back any longer. Let's go ahead and bring in Dr. Will Moreland. How are you? How are you? How are you? Let the people know how you doing, what you have going on, and what's good with you today, sir.
Oh, thank you so much. I am tremendously excited to be here with you and your community. A lot of good stuff on. I know we're in the midst of a pandemic, but I still believe that we are living in the most incredible time known to mankind. So if you're healthy and you have your right mind, then you are right in position to take advantage of all the opportunities that are out there. So I'm excited to be here and to have this.
We're still in a pandemic. I think I wasn't sure. Are we still in a pandemic? Are people still living in that, or are we out? Because I think we're in a recession now.
Is that progressed to now?
I'm asking the leader because some people don't know where they're at, what they're supposed to be doing, and how they're supposed to be navigating these difficult times. Why don't you let them in on that?
You know, it's interesting that you say that. And I think some people are still undecided on what they think about this present time. And I think no matter what time you're in, your mindset is going to determine your outset. I'll say that one more time. Your mindset is going to determine what happens for you in life. I've been all around the world in all different types of situations and saw all different types of environment. But the number one thing that I saw that was persistent was the individuals that saw opportunity and not obstacles. The individuals that had a great attitude were the ones that had a high altitude. And so it really does determine your mindset, how you're going to operate in the present times that we're in.
Okay, so let's talk about the pandemic. And how some people were able to rise above that and do really well, and some people lost themselves and are still trying to figure it out. What is your best piece of advice for those that are still trying to figure out or learn to pivot past what has happened? Because obviously things aren't the same. We can't act like they're ever going to be the same, right? I think that would be disingenuous at best. So, what would your best advice be for someone that's still struggling to pivot, reinvent, move past what's happened the last couple of years?
Yeah, you have to make a choice. Years ago, I read a great book called Who Moved My Cheese? And in that book, it's similar to a pandemic, meaning everything changed. Nothing was the same. And these characters inside the book, it was four characters inside the book, two partners on each side. And the partners that did well were the ones that chose to do well. And the ones who didn't do well were the individuals that said, Well, when is everything going to go back to how it is? I like how it was back in 2018. Can we get back to 2018? You know, those people who say things like, oh, the good old days. If we could get back to the good old days. Well, those days are never happening again. So you have to determine and make a choice how you're going to live right now. Because this is what I've found out, that no matter what situation we're in, we're going to find people who succeed. You know, there's millionaires being made every single day. There's companies being built every single day. There's people crossing that threshold every single day. And you have to choose. You have to make up your mind. Am I going to sit here like a bump on a log and wait for someone to tell me it's okay to cross the street? Or am I going to take initiative? Am I going to take responsibility for my life, for my future, and my goals, and press forward? And that's what everybody has to do. But for those that don't do that, they are going to be on the sideline. And unfortunately, they'll probably get ran over by the train. You know, it's not about being on the right side of the track or being on the track, because you can be on the track and still get hit by the train if you're not moving. So you got to get up. If you're listening to us today, you got to, hey, slap yourself, wake yourself up, and say, it's time for me to make a pivot and move to the next step of my life.
Yeah, slap yourself. Don't slap nobody else. That might be a problem. Um, I want
Yeah,
you to talk.
don't miss nobody.
I want you to talk about D&I and where you are with that. Your position, how you educate people about what diversity and inclusion and accessibility and all those things are, because I think many people believe that it has a lot to do with just saying minorities should get more. There are a lot of people that get afraid to hear D&I or DNI, DNIJ for justice. Talk a little bit about that. What is that? Because there's a really big misconception about diversity, inclusion, equity, equality. Educate the people.
Yeah, so for the last 20 years, I've been fortunate to run a company and lead a company that deals heavily in DEI. And so DEI wasn't a conversation that we were having 20 years ago real heavily. So I'm excited about the time that we're in right now. But I think when people hear the word diversity or hear equity or hear inclusion, I think they hear replacement. So I think when people are having these fears, they feel as if my company is more diverse, if my company is more inclusive, then I'm going to be replaced. You know, I kind of use an example when I'm out there teaching on this. I have an example. I have a glass of milk. And in this glass of milk, I show the audience this glass of milk. And I show them and tell them all these things that the milk can do. You can put it in cereal, you can put it in coffee. And then when you start talking diversity, what people think is that I want to take a scoop of chocolate and dip it in that milk and get rid of that white milk. But that's not what we're saying with diversity, equity, and inclusion. What we're saying is we want to bring our cup along too. We want to bring our chocolate milk along too. We don't want to replace your white milk. We just want our chocolate milk to have the same opportunity, the same advantages that everyone else is having. And so if you can start thinking about diversity, not from the perspective of, oh, I'm going to get replaced, because I'll tell you on the other side of that, I tell my Black American friends, it's not just as easy as replacing. You have to have some real good skill sets to lead a company, to be a CEO of a company. So it's not about just removing CEO A and bringing in a Latino CEO or bringing in an Asian CEO or bringing in a Black CEO. Does that individual have the capacity, the skill sets, the knowledge, the tenacity to run and lead a Microsoft, a Goldman Sachs, a Hilton hotel? So we're not just about replacement here, but we are talking about bringing on people that are qualified. So you got to start asking yourself, you know, if you're on our Caucasian side, I always challenge them to say, do you really think There's no other nationality that has the capabilities, the intelligence, the skill set to operate a company. Are you saying in the last 200 years that no one has learned that skill set to be able to do that? Well, if you think that's true, then you really do have a problem. But when we challenge them with these types of questions, they begin to open up and they begin to understand that we're not talking about replacement. We're talking about if I'm qualified, if I have the skill set, then I should have the opportunity. So that's what we've been championing at MTA, at our consulting company, for the last 20 years. Not replacement, but we've been talking about giving each and every person that's a part of the company that's qualified an opportunity.
Now, follow me here. The reason I asked you is because you just said something prior to this. You said, slap yourself. If you're still living in the past, slap yourself. Wake up. There are a lot of people that look like us that are still heavily weighed down by the term and some of the actions that we would consider racism, right? To the point sometimes where it holds them back. How do you deal with that as a father, as a professional? How do you navigate that space with your peers and people that you're working with? Because I'm almost sure you deal with it.
That's a good question. Thank you for that. I'm personally working on a project right now that I've entitled America Now. And in this project, the challenge is to get Black Americans to look at America right now. I know what America was in 1920, in 1840, and even in 1960. I know there's been challenges. I know there's been obstacles. But if we're going to make progression and if we're going to move forward, we have to start from a place of truth. So the first truth that we have to start with is America in 2022 is not America 1922. So there has been some progression. For you to deny that progression is going to leave you in the past. For you to say, as I look at you and myself, we're two accomplished Black Americans in America in 2022. So it would sound ridiculous for us to get on a platform such as this and complain and act as if America hasn't made any progress. Is America perfect? America's not perfect, but America has made progress. So we can't deny the progress that has been made. If you continuously deny the progress that has been made, then you'll never take advantage of the opportunities right in front of you.
Okay. But then there are still situations where they are dealing with, or we have had to deal with, overt racism, right? So how do you balance that out? Because we're saying we can't live in the past, but presently, some of us may still be dealing with some of those very overt racist issues.
Now, I'll be honest with you. You're absolutely right. Currently, America Now. Are there some systems? Are there some systems that you can get involved with that currently have systematic racism in it? I'll give you one that we all know: the judicial system. If you find yourself in the American judicial system as a minority, there is a high probability that you're going to run into that systematic racism. There's no doubt about it. If you're in corporate America, another system, there is a high probability that you're going to run into systematic racism. So the question then, let's look at corporate America. If I'm in corporate America and I run into systematic racism, I believe in 2022, there are some mechanisms in place. We have the EOC. We have some things that we can do. That was far different than 1940. If you was in 1940 and you ran up against systematic racism, then, the story's probably over. There's some things that we can do now intelligently, more than just marching, more than just picketing. There's some infrastructure, I believe, that is currently in place. Now, if it's so insurmountable in your situation, then you, once again, still have a choice. Do I want to remain? Do I want to remain in this situation? Do I want to pick up the torch and be an advocate to make change here? That's still a choice that you have. And so I'm not saying everything's perfect, but if you feel as though you're in an unwinnable situation, but then I also want to ask us this as well, because I talked to a lot of Black professionals about this. Okay, you're going for the promotion. It's 20 of you going for that one position. The question is, after 29 of you are disappointed because everybody's going home with a story about why they didn't get it. And so let's take off the table the word racism. And could there be any other reason you did not get that job? You did not get the promotion. Was someone else more? Was someone else more qualified than you? Was there favoritism at play? Not racism, but favoritism. Maybe Bob knows Bill a little bit more than he knows Tasha. Maybe that is true. And then you got to ask yourself, once again, you have a choice. If you know this is what's going on in that situation, you got to ask yourself, do I want to keep myself in this situation? Or do I want to go find another company that's going to value my talents, that's going to see me as a asset to that company and not hold me back? But we always have a choice.
Okay, take that scenario right there. Do he know Bill better than he knows Tasha? Bill's probably doing the company thing to get to know that hiring manager better, right? Tasha's going home to hang out and may not feel like I shouldn't have to do all this because my qualifications are enough. What is your advice to that? Because to some, that's brown nosing or whatever, right? To us, that might be networking. Perspective matters. But for those that struggle with having to do all the extra stuff because they feel like their skills should supersede all that, talk to them.
Yeah, so once again, to me, America is a game. America is a big, wonderful game, and you got to be willing to play the game. You got to be willing to play the game. And as long as you know it's a game, I can go all the way back to when I was in high school and we had football tryouts. And I remember our coach, we had about 150 kids out there. And for the first 3 or 4 days in the hot California sun, he just had us running. He just had us running. And I can remember the murmurings. Man, I came to play football, man. He just has us running. Man, I came to play football. I'm the hottest thing since sliced bread, and all he does is have us running. Well, I realized running was a part of his system of getting the people out that wasn't committed. So we started out with 125 people. By week number 2, we were down to 70 individuals because everybody else got frustrated at the game. Take you back to when I was in the military. I remember being in boot camp, and in boot camp, they have 2 months to get you physically fit to turn you into a lean, mean fighting machine. And so the drill sergeants, they would make us, at any opportunity, they would make us do push-ups. Now, the first 2 days, I would say, wait a minute, I didn't do anything. Why are you making me do push-ups? Because I saw push-ups as punishment. And I would say, I didn't do anything. And then he would say, give me 10 more. Oh, you talking back? Give me 20 more. About the 3rd or 4th day, I realized, wait a minute, Will, they have a job. Their job is to train you. They're going to make you do push-ups no matter what. Even if you do everything right, they're going to make you do push-ups. So once I realized that it was a game, I made it a game. Hey, thank you, drill sergeant. You making me look good for my girlfriend. Thank you, drill sergeant. You making me look good for my girl. You about to get me bulked up. See, once you realize it was a game, everybody else is getting upset. Who does he think I am? He ain't gonna tell me what to do. And so when the drill sergeants would yell at them, they would take it personal. And so till this day, 30 years later, I'm still friends with my drill sergeants because I realized it was a game. So more specifically to that person, you're in corporate America. Corporate America is a game. There's favoritism in that game. There's systematic racism in that game. There's brown nosing in that game. You know, to your point, I tell a lot of my Black associates, hey, when they say they're going golfing, go golfing. Oh man, I ain't doing that. When they say they're having the Christmas party, man, well, there's conversations then that are happening on the golf course, that are happening at the Christmas party that you're going to not be privy of, and you don't have anyone to blame but yourself. And so, once again, we always have choices. Now, if you don't want to play the game, every choice comes with a consequence. Every choice comes with a consequence. So you just have to take ownership of the consequences of your choice.
You're a sports guy. My son plays baseball. It is a sport that we used to dominate, and now we are rare. One of my cousins is a big sports head. His business is wrapped around sport. We always go back and forth because he thinks kids don't make it in baseball. Our kids don't because it's a racist system. Because of statistics, okay? Numbers don't lie. But at the same time, part of the truth is some of our best and brightest don't always make it to the next level because of their either lack of support at home, decisions that they make, lazy. I could go on and on. When we have people in our culture that have a hard time recognizing where we can do better, because that's my goal, is like you, to get us to see where we can do better, because I don't care about statistics, even black on black crime. Well, because the numbers say that because we live within the proximity, I don't care what the numbers are, because for them to change, we can change them. We can decide that's not our charge, is to follow these numbers. We can change the numbers. Instead, we lean on these numbers because that's what they say, and it gives us a great excuse. Talk me through that, and then how you deal with your own kids in regards to statistics.
Well, you really came to have a real conversation today, huh? Okay, so once again, everything to me, once again, and I'm going to talk predominantly. I know your audience is worldwide, but I'm going to talk predominantly to us here in the United States as Black Americans. One of the biggest issues that I feel we have is, and once again, I'm not ignorant of the historical facts of America. I'm not ignorant of that. I was raised in Compton, California. Compton was said to be the worst city in America. So I'm not ignorant of the obstacles, the struggles, and the plight that we've had in America. I understand. Here's
And for the record, that's why I'm asking you, because you get it.
Yeah. So here's the deal. In America in 2022, I believe one of our biggest challenges is that Black Americans still see themselves as guests in America, not citizens. Give you an example. If I was over your house as a guest, I would ask questions like, do you mind if I go use the restroom? Do you mind if I get something to drink? Do you mind if I turn the TV channel? I'm going to keep asking because in my mind, I'm a guest. Now, if I live there and it's my home, I'm just going to go to the refrigerator and get me something to drink. I'm just going to go to the bathroom. I'm sure your kids don't ask you if they can go to the bathroom. I'm sure your kids don't ask you if they can get a glass of water. They're at home. So fundamentally and mentally, Black Americans have to start seeing themselves as citizens of the United States. And then from a position of not a visitor, but a position of a citizen, what is available to me? What is available to me? What is my rights? So I live in Phoenix, Arizona. Phoenix, Arizona is 4% African American. And I'm only sharing this with you to make my point. Recently, I was named one of the top 100 CEOs in Phoenix, Arizona. in a city that's only in a state that is only 4%. Why? Because when I moved here, I didn't move here with the mindset that, oh, I'm at a disadvantage. I moved here with the mindset that I'm a business owner, I have a product, I have a service, and I'm one of the best at what I do. And that's going to be reflected in my results. That's going to be reflected in how I'm treated. That's going to be reflected. And so for my Black brothers and sisters, what we have to start doing is stop acting like we're still visiting America and start taking ownership. Why is it that immigrants come to America, can barely speak the language, and they succeed at high levels? It's because they come with the mindset, once I become naturalized and I become an American citizen, everything that's available to a citizen is available to me. The home of the brave, the land of the free, the land of opportunity, that's what they have in their mind. For those of us, once again, I'm going to keep saying this because I want people to understand, I'm not ignorant of the history of Black Americans in the United States. I'm not ignorant of that fact. I'm not ignorant of that. But I've been able to live in 5 different countries. And so I have a different perspective. When you're in another country, you feel timid. When you're in another country, as a visitor to that country, the countries that I've lived in, because I wasn't citizens in that country, I couldn't vote. I wasn't a part of the fabric of those countries because I wasn't a citizen. So there were some limitations. There were some things that weren't available to me. But moving back to the United States, after living in Europe for 15 years, people ask me, how could you go to Arizona? Why didn't you go back to California? Why? I went to Arizona. I had never been there, had never visited there before, but it was America. Arizona is in America, and I'm an American citizen. And so you could have put me anywhere in America and I was going to succeed because I was an American citizen. I'm an American citizen. So there's some rights and privileges in 2002, right, that I realized wasn't available back in 1940. But we're not in 1940. So you're going to have a hard time, whoever you are, in 2022 trying to keep me from success. And if that's not the mindset you have as a Black American in America, then you're always going to be limited. You're going to always, well, what about what they did and they said, and wait, I remember when. If that's your conversation, then yeah, you can close the book. You're not going to be successful. But if you wake up every morning, look yourself in the mirror and say, as a citizen in one of the most powerful countries, we as Americans, just as Black Americans, we have a U.S. passport. Do you know that U.S. passport opens you up visa free to 165 countries out of the 195? As an American citizen, you speak English. English is the business language all around the world. There are 70 countries that have English as their primary language, and all the other countries teach it as a secondary. So once you wake up to the fact, wait a minute, look at all the advantages I have already. I'm an American citizen. I speak a global language. This is why I've been able to go to 60 different countries, live in 5 different countries, because I speak the global language already. I have an American passport that opens me up around the world. And so once I started to realize that, for the first 20 years of my life, I said, wait a minute, I'm a Black dude from Compton. The man is after me. Hold on. It's hard out here on a player. That was my conversation. But the moment I woke up, wait a minute, I'm an American citizen. wait a minute, I got some rights and privileges as an American citizen. And so even if I hit an obstacle, even if I hit an obstacle in this system, I'm fine with that because there's some now things in the place where I can say, hey, she didn't want to give me my business license. He didn't want to give me my business license. You got to prove to me that I shouldn't have a business license. And if you're still acting like you're a guest, you'll just go home and complain. See, I could come and leave your house and tell everybody, no matter how beautiful your house is, man, I just didn't feel at home. I just didn't, I didn't feel, I water one time and I didn't want to act because I didn't want to seem like I was drinking all her water. She offered me some dessert, but I didn't want to feel as though that I was eating all her ice cream. So I got a scoop, even though I wanted two scoops, I only got one scoop. See, that's how you act when you're a guest. But see, I know you've had some conversations with your kids. Did you eat all the ice cream? Oh, well, mama, it was here. It was in the refrigerator. So I ate it all. It was here. It's here for the taking. The question is, are you going to take it? Because it's here for the taking. Are you going to take it?
Listen, you got all kind of tears running down my face right now because I know that what you are saying is 1,000% true. And I know that we are walking around in this fog, not recognizing our opportunity to be able to take it. So I appreciate you taking the time to share that. And yes, we gonna always have conversation. We ain't got time to be pussyfooting around here. We got people to activate and leaders to push to their next level. So you already know what it is. But I want you to talk about, you got a lot of books back there. Like, we can't get people to read these days. And here you are writing and reading like ain't nobody's business. So talk to me about your newest book. And are you going to go on tour? Are you coming to California so we can hang out? Like, what's going on?
So, so the latest book is called Copycat Millionaire. And I wrote this book after interviewing 150 millionaires because I'm on this quest. Can you still succeed in America in 2022? Can you succeed in America? So I wrote this book. Really, I wrote it for, you asked me earlier about how I'm teaching my kids. And so a lot of the books I really write for my kids, and I'm writing them for my grandkids, and I'm writing them for my great grandchildren because I want them to know my mindset, and I want them to know in 2050 and 2075 and 2000 and 2100 they can succeed too. So I wrote Copycat Millionaire to dispel another limitation that a lot of us as Black Americans have. I use the word copy because many of us were taught and many of us were educated that to copy was wrong. Look at your own paper. When we were kids, your teacher may have asked you, did you get any help with this? Did anybody help you with this? Or did you do this all by yourself? And so we become adults and we think we need to navigate this big old world by ourselves. But there's a proverb that says there's nothing new under the sun. And so why reinvent the wheel? So I wrote this book, Copycat Millionaire. I interviewed 150 millionaires and billionaires, and I came away with 21 guiding principles that if you implemented these into your life, implemented these into your life, you could copycat your way to millionaire status. It's more now than ever to become millionaire. We live in a world of abundance. We have social media. You're in California. I'm in Phoenix, Arizona. We have people watching us literally all around the globe because of this technology that we're using. And so the gatekeepers that used to be back in 1940, 50 years ago, I would have had to wait for a publisher to say, Will, you're a good enough writer and we'll publish your book. There were all these gatekeepers. But now you can self-publish. You can go to all different type of publishers. I've written 50 books in the last 10 years because I'm an American citizen. There are no gatekeepers no more, right? Whatever idea that I have, I can bring to fruition. And so when I wrote this book, I wanted to give people a blueprint. I wanted to give people a blueprint to follow, an easy blueprint to follow so they can start building generational wealth. And your aspiration may not be to be a millionaire, but you may want to be a thousandaire. But I want you to get to a place where you're comfortable, where you're not living paycheck to paycheck, because living in the most advanced country in the world, there should be nobody living paycheck to paycheck. There should be no one struggling, but we got to get information. I tell people all the time, there's not a wealth gap. There's not a wealth gap. There's more than enough money for us all. There's an information gap. And if you begin to get the right information, then that gap begins to close. That gap begins to close. I give you one example and we can move on. They say right now the average wealth gap number is 170,000 between Caucasian Americans and Black Americans. Do you know the solution to that? It's called home ownership. You buy one home and you've closed the gap because you got this thing called equity, right? You buy a house for $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, go into it for a couple of years, and your equity grows, right? That's magic. We call equity magic money. But if you don't have that information, then you'll never do it. But how many of us know a mama that's renting, a sister that's renting, a cousin that's renting, and we're all giving this money to other people? If we came together, if a family came together under one roof for 10 months and split the rent for 10 months, each of them could save $10,000 and each of them could go and get their own home. And so if you could sacrifice for 10 months to live together, I tell people this all the time. In the Black community, we always come together for tragedy, but we never come together for strategy. If we could learn to come together for strategy, we could be our own solution. One of my good friends, he always says, Superman is not coming to save you. You got to save yourself.
You said a wealth gap. I want to challenge you on that. You got a hustle gap too. Now, I have had people tell us before, you and Ray, y'all be hustling. Y'all always got stuff to do. Y'all always hustling. I'm good just being good. I almost fell out the first time I heard someone say that. I'm okay just being okay, because I could not imagine living in a world of complacency. I didn't even know that was in us. I think I always thought we always wanted more. And it took someone that I loved and cared about to actually say that. And I realized sometimes we want more for other people than they want for themselves. And it took me a long time to actually sit in that and stop wanting more for other people too. Now I'm good just wanting for me. That's not good though. Well, that's not good. I don't know.
That's the blessing. That's the blessing and curse of living in America. In America, I want you to listen to America. We're so blessed that we can be lazy. That's a blessing. We're so blessed that we can be lazy. I tell people this all. I've traveled to 50 different countries. What's going on in America, you cannot go stand on the side of the road and average $15 an hour by just asking somebody to give you some spare change. In other countries, it does not happen. We live in a country where you can average $15 an hour being a bum. And so when I go to Ghana and when I go to Nigeria and I see these people walking 5 miles to go get some water, 5 miles to go get some water. When I see people walking 10 miles to go to school, we have it so easy in America. We have it so easy that we can complain about things that shouldn't be complained about. We have it so easy that we have this thing called cancel culture. It's so easy where you can literally complain just to complain. But people in third world countries, they have no time to complain. They have no time to worry about what the Kardashians are doing. They have no time to be worried about what Trump tweeted. They have no time. They have no electricity. We are so blessed. I tell people all the time, if you live in a country that has a Hobby Lobby, then you're blessed. A store that sells nothing but snacks, you're blessed. And so it goes back to what you're talking about. If we live in this world full of abundance, but you rather watch Netflix and here's the thing, here's this game, right? In America, 20% of single individuals earn 100K or more. 30% of married couples in a household earn 100K or more. And why is that? Why is that in the most abundant place? It's because you said, I'm doing okay. We're making it. And goes back to that mindset. Remember, for Black Americans, for you to have a roof over your head, for you to be able to pay your rent, if you're comparing that your great grandmother was a slave and you're saying, whew, I got my own spot, well, yeah, you're going to really live beneath your potential. But if you start exploring and you start saying, wait a minute, what's really available to me out here? What's really available? Once again, so many of us in our community have that slave mentality. If you're measuring how good you're living right now compared to how your grandmother had it and your great grandmother had it, you're far living beneath your potential because your measuring stick is off. Your measuring stick is off. That's like going to the ocean and taking a teaspoon of sand. When you got all that sand and you just go and take me a teaspoon because my grandmother, she didn't get to go to the beach. They weren't allowed to go to the beach. But I'm allowed to go to the beach, but I ain't gonna take too much. I'm just gonna take me a scoop of sand. I don't want nobody to say nothing to me. But all of the beaches available to you, but you say, I know I'm just gonna take me a scoop. And so yeah, that hustle, I call that hustling backwards. I call that hustling backwards. If you're not out here getting it in the most advantageous country in the world, where you have a guy who is a dog whisperer and he can make $10 million by just you have a Judge Judy that can make $45 million a year. Come on, if you ain't out there going to get it, then there's something, once again, fundamentally wrong with you.
I could talk to you all day, you know this, but I'll let you go. But before you go, I need you to tell the people how they can get in touch with you, how they can just follow your journey because you are incredibly inspirational. Stay in contact, all that cool stuff. Let them know.
Yeah. So it's real simple. Anywhere on social media, follow me at Dr. Will Speaks. It's DrWillSpeaks. Dr. Will Speaks on Twitter, on TikTok, on Instagram. My website is drwillspeaks.com. That's where you can purchase my books. That's where you can see where I'm traveling to speak. You can connect with me if you are in corporate America and you need DEI training. Then go to our business website, which is morelandtraining.com. Morelandtraining.com. Or you can just Google Dr. Will Moreland, and either one of those platforms will pop up for you.
Well, you guys know all the information will be in the captions. Please take the time to connect. If nothing else, broaden your own horizon, grow and learn. I hope everybody gets that from Dr. Moreland. He's incredible. We try to bring you people that will help enrich your life, enhance your daily experience, and broaden your horizon. And I think we definitely hit on that today. So, Dr. Moreland, I want to thank you. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you. Thank you for the global impact that you're making and the impact that you're doing even on the local level as well. So thank you once again. I had a ball.
I appreciate you. Have a good rest of your day. So listen, guys, I'm serious. Like, I'm a fan of his. I'm a fan of his work. When he speaks, I feel energized because I feel like whatever it was that was holding me back, I now have a little bit more push, right? Things that sometimes we wonder, like, am I crazy? Am I tripping? I promise you, when you follow him on social media or read his books and read something he's writing, just look at how he's moving through the world. It lets you know that, like, things are possible. And we don't have to make excuses. We don't have to be a guest in America, okay? This is our America. No matter where you originate from, this is our America. So take the opportunity to continue to grow and learn and be a better leader, a better learner. Broaden your horizon. Know that everything is possible. And until next time, you guys take it easy. Always follow us on Sand and Shores. Make sure you subscribe and share this with someone that could use a little, girl, you got this. You can do it. You are not a guest here. Okay. Go get it. That's what he said. Go get it. And then pick up the book. Thank you. See you next time.